Let's talk some Tide. Spring practice is in our sights. We got Stephen M. Smith on the line from Touchdown, Alabama. Of course, you got to join him on his show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube. In my own words, Stephen, how's it going today?
Doing great, man. We got the NFL Scouting Combine starting tomorrow, from tomorrow to March the 6th. So got some guys that leaving the college game, going to the pro game, will be taking place in Indy at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Well, one guy that's put that off for the time being, but certainly could line up with those guys both at the Combine and the guys already in the NFL would be one Will Anderson. We talked offense with you last week and the Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young, but Will Anderson may just flat out be the best player in the country.
And he's back for his junior year, Mark. And this is a very special young man. I mean, coming out of high school from the Georgia area, we knew the quick twitch ability, the pass rush ability, the strength, the speed, the explosiveness upon the snap of the ball. And he came onto the scene as a freshman, but last year took it a complete step upward with getting 101 tackles from a jack linebacker, hand in the dirt position. He has the most tackles in a single season by a jack rush linebacker in the Nick Saban era. Just think about that there for a minute. He finished with 34 and a half tackles for loss, which was first for Alabama, first in the nation, 17 and a half sacks, first for Alabama, first in the nation, 9 quarterback hurries, just insane numbers. And a guy that won a litany of individual awards, should have been in New York for the Heisman Trophy presentation, but did win the Bronco Nagurski Award, was voted a permanent team captain by his peers as a sophomore. So you can't think of a better young man, a better athlete, and a guy that when he speaks, everybody shuts up and pays attention, because Will Anderson was not given the nickname Terminator for nothing. He was given that name for a reason, and he's back for his junior year to anchor of his defensive front here.
And so looking at the rest of the defensive pass rush push from the outside, Will Anderson's going to get so much attention. Where are we looking to get some more hurries on the quarterback?
Well, they've got the guy that will play across from him, Mark, and that's Dallas Turner, who had a very good freshman year. And what's crazy is, Dallas was third on the depth chart at that strong side backer position behind Drew Sanders and the starter Christopher Allen. Chris Allen gets hurt in the season opener against Miami, a foot injury, and Drew Sanders has to come in, and he's playing very well, but unfortunately, he has a hand injury against Ole Miss. So now Dallas Turner is thrown out there as the guy, and what a revelation he became. 30 tackles a season ago, had 10 tackles for loss, had 8.5 sacks, and 5.5 of those sacks came in the last 4 games of the season. When you look at Auburn, Georgia, and the SEC championship game, Cincinnati and the Cotton Bowl, and of course Georgia again for the national championship. So he really turned it on in the latter portion of the season. A freshman All-American, freshman All-SEC honoree. So Dallas Turner's a guy right there. Behind him, I would look at a guy like a Byron Young on the defensive line. He's back for his senior season. And for Byron Young, we're talking about 91 career tackles. I think 17 and a half of those for loss, about 10 sacks, 9 to 10 sacks. Well, 7 sacks, in his, career, and a guy that hasn't played. He hasn't been a starter a lot, but when Byron Young's been on the field, he's been exceptional. He's created big tackles. He's created sacks. He's created big plays. He's been a high-energy guy out there on the field. So you look at a Byron Young. You look at a Justin Aboigbe, who came in the 2019 class with Young, a guy at the other defensive end spot. Now, Aboigbe, not the violent player that Young is. Can he grow to be in that? Definitely so. We shall see here in spring practice. You look at the defensive tackle position. Therein lies DJ Dale, who's back for his senior year, and a guy that he has flashed potential of being great, but he's also dealt with some knee injuries, some injury issues. He's going to be back fully healthy. What can DJ Dale provide with him or behind him? What can Tim Smith provide at that defensive tackle nose guard position? People were very high on him coming out of high school in Florida. And after a good freshman year, Tim Smith didn't see much field action this past season. What can we see from him? Then you have guys like Jamarian Latham and Jamil Burrows. Just so much depth there on that defensive line. But the big question that so many fans want to ask up front, aside from the guys like a Will Anderson and like a Dallas Turner, people want to know, who are those other guys on that defensive front that will create pressure, that will create havoc, and we'll get a chance to see those guys here in spring ball.
Stephen, is there anybody that is incoming in this 2022 class that could possibly spring for some playing time?
I see a couple of guys here, Mark, and the number one guy to keep your eye on to me would be Curtis Perry from Pike Road High School in Alabama. The guy's an absolute freak show. I mean, can wreck quarterbacks, can wreck running backs, can create fumbles, can cause a whole bunch of turnovers, can cause a whole bunch of disruption and distraction in the opposing offense. The question for Curtis Perry would be, how quickly can he not only just grasp the playbook, but how quickly can he break through all of that depth there? When you talk about the defensive front, but a guy who is a tremendous talent, that'll be Curtis Perry. Another guy to keep your eye on, or two guys, Jeremiah Alexander and Jahim Campbell. Now, they will both play that outside linebacker position, and we know that the two starters, Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. But the reason why I bring up Alexander and Campbell is those two are not coming in here to sit down. They're coming in here to take somebody's spot, whether that's Chris Braswell, whether that's Quandarius Robinson, whether that's Keanu Colt. Those three had to keep their eyes on these two freshmen. Jeremiah Alexander has championship pedigree coming from Thompson High School in Alabaster in the Birmingham area. This past season helped the Warriors win a Class 7A state title, and he had some insane stats. We're talking 93 tackles, 27 quarterback hurries, 10 sacks. I think he had like 30 tackles for loss. Just insane numbers there at that linebacker position. Jahim Campbell is somebody who's incredibly versatile. He can play inside or outside linebacker. I think he will fit more so at that outside linebacker position as that speed rush guy coming off the edge. So if I had to look at some freshmen that could really get some playing time in here, I think Curtis Perry, defensive line. I think Jahim Campbell, Jeremiah Alexander at the outside linebacker position. A guy that I will put an asterisk by because he's very interesting, Jahim Otis, who came in big, massive, physically imposing defensive end. But Otis has actually dropped 15 pounds since being in the off-season program this spring. So he's a guy that I'll put a slight asterisk by. I like the potential he's got, like the size. He's got some quickness. He's got some ability. But I kind of want to see what he truly is at that interior defensive line position.
In terms of Alexander and Campbell, of course, Nick Saban was able to reel in the top 2 rated edge rushers in the nation out of the state of Alabama and Bradenton, Florida, in Alexander and Campbell. We got Stephen M. Smith on the line from Touchdown, Alabama. Got to join him on his show that airs Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube, In My Own Words, 6 Central Time. And, of course, the deep dive there at touchdownalabama.com. Stephen, 2 enormous losses with Christopher Allen and Christian Harris in the linebacking core. But Henry To'oTo'o, we knew that he was a player leaving Tennessee to come to Alabama. But I, for one, did not realize how good of a player he was until he played the kind of games that he did with Alabama this past season.
He got better down the stretch, Mark. Coming in, Henry To'oTo'o, it was kind of learning the complexity of that system in Alabama. I know coming from Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt taught him a lot of that system. But when you come to Alabama, it's more of the intricacies, the fine details of that system that can be more complex than others. So early on, Henry had to learn some things. He was trying to get everybody else to call first. And then sometimes he kind of found himself not where he would have been at or should have been at. But the last 5 to 6 games, you saw the talent. You saw the tackling machine. Like, you saw the ability. You saw it begin to really click for him from the LSU game to the Auburn game, the Arkansas game, the college football playoff. It all started to click for Henry T down the stretch. Finished with 112, total tackles, 8 of those for loss, had 4 sacks in the season. Just a big year, especially down the stretch. And with him coming back, that's your leader, that's your captain there in the middle. And then you have him back. Christian Harris gone to the NFL draft. He had a good season, 80 tackles in the year, 11.5 tackles for loss. You got the numbers down the banner on the screen. And he had a good season down the stretch of the year. Had some struggles there early on, but late in the season started to pick it up, come on strong, especially in the college football playoff. But taking over for Christian Harris, that's where Jaylen Moody comes in at. He will get that early look, that early opportunity to start at that weak side backer position. And he's got some ability in coverage. We saw how he opened the season with an interception against Miami. He's got some lateral quickness, some sideline to sideline ability, but he's more so of that thumper, can fit those run gaps, can take on a block, get off that offensive lineman, get to the running back. He's got some pass rush ability as well, just has never had the opportunity at this point to be a starter within this system. So here comes Jaylen Moody's first opportunity at that weak side position to be a starter. Behind him, you've got Demoy Kennedy at that position. You got Deontay Lawson, who I really like at that weak side backer position. You got Kendrick Blackshire, who's got some Reuben Foster, who's got some Mac Wilson in terms of making those hits, those bone-crushing tackles at that position. You keep your eyes there on Blackshire. But Sean Murphy, the freshman, the early enrollee from Virginia, this is one intriguing young man because Dick Butkus, one of the greatest to ever do it, when Dick Butkus says something, that's when you kind of need to pay attention. And Butkus compared Sean Murphy, the 2021 Butkus Award winner at that linebacker position from the high school ranks. The legendary Butkus compared Murphy to Nakobe Dean, who was an exceptional linebacker at Georgia. He is now transitioning to the NFL draft. So if Sean Murphy is anything close to the indication of Nakobe Dean, Alabama can really have itself something right there in that young man. So Murphy would be the freshman to watch at that inside linebacker position, primarily at the weak side spot next to Henry To'o. But of course, Jaylen Moody would get that first crack at that spot due to his experience in the system here in Tuscaloosa. Now, at the outside backer spot with Christopher Allen gone, of course, we already mentioned those guys at outside linebacker, Dallas Turner, Will Anderson, and then G.I. Campbell and Jeremiah Alexander. But it's going to be fun to watch this linebacker position in its wholeness, Mark, because this group has the talent. This group has the leadership. It has all the capability and potential to be a group that could help this Alabama defense be, a top 5, top 10 defense in college football in the upcoming season.
We got Stephen M. Smith on the line from touchdownalabama.com. Please join him, the rest of the staff right there, breaking down the Tide each and every day for you and Stephen's show that you see here on the banner. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in my own words, right here on YouTube. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 Central. You can call in and talk Alabama football, Alabama athletics, and the SEC with Stephen 3 times a week. All right, let's get to the secondary and Nick Saban's pride and joy. When we look at the cornerback position, a few missing from the 2021 edition. Take it from there, sir.
Well, of course, you lose Jalen Armour-Davis and Josh Jobe to the NFL. Both guys, veteran corners, leadership guys. They came in the 2018 class. Jobe battled with a turf toe, had a little foot injury there, which caused him to miss the college football playoff. He did have 2 interceptions on the season this past year. Jalen Armour-Davis dealt with a little hip issue there. He missed of the college football playoff, but Armour-Davis had 3 interceptions. He shared the team lead with Demarco Helms and Jordan Battle. But the good news is Alabama did get Kool-Aid McKinstry, 5-star freshman this past season, and Kyrie Jackson, one of the top junior college players. Both of those two got experience at both corner spots a season ago. So they enter the spring with experience, but also you bring in Eli Ricks from the transfer portal from LSU. And here's a guy, 16 games of experience with those Tigers for his career. We're looking at 31 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions. 4 of those picks for Ricks came in his freshman year in 2020. So with the Ricks coming from that portal, Saban doesn't bring in transfers to sit them. He brings them in to play them, especially when they've got experience within this conference. So Ricks, you would kind of figure he would be penciled in at one of those 2 corner spots. The spot opposite him, this is where, will it be Kool-Aid McKinstry? Will it be Kyrie Jackson? You also have Terrion Arnold in here as well, and he's growing there at that spot. Though he came in the 2021 class as a safety, he's being trained as a corner. So that spot opposite Eli Ricks will be one to watch there. At the nickel position, you bring back 2 guys who've played it, that being Brian Branch and Malachi Moore. Brian Branch was a stud last season, came on strong in the latter part of the season. And when he was playing his best ball, it ignited guys like Demarco Helms, Jordan Battle, and got the whole team playing when 14 was out there hitting guys over the middle, hitting guys on the outside, pressuring guys, pressuring quarterbacks when Pete Golden would send Brian Branch on those blitzes. So you have him back. You have Malachi Moore back. Coach Golden, he says that both guys, Moore and Branch, are your plug-and-play guys at that nickel spot, at that star position. You can play either or, but I think Moore coming back is ready to have a big year coming off a sophomore season where did not see much action in the secondary. Part of that was he was battling some back spasms. Another part of that was Brian Branch was just having a heyday back there. So we shall see what Moore does in his return to the secondary in that nickel spot. At that dime position, here is where we see the return of Daniel Wright for his 6th year in the program. And Daniel Wright came in 2017 as a 4-star from Florida. Brother Major Wright played great ball for the Florida Gators, of course, in the NFL also, but Daniel Wright has always had the tools. He's always had the physical ability. It was always the getting the playbook down and the mental aspect of the game down. When Alabama put him at that dime linebacker safety position, that hybrid-like spot, he's performed well, and he's got that experience back for his 6th year. And then your 2 safeties, Jordan Battle and Demarco Helms, getting both of those 2 back was huge. I actually had a late 1st, early 2nd round grade on Jordan Battle. So when he decided to come back, I was like, whoa, my goodness, he's back. So Jordan Battle, 3 picks a season ago, including 2 pick sixes. One of those came against Georgia in the SEC title game. Huge having him back. And then Demarco Helms, what people don't realize, he had a serious ankle issue in fall camp, had a serious bone bruise and an ankle issue in fall camp before the season even started. But he battled through that, finished the year with 88 tackles, had 3 interceptions, sharing the team lead right there. So both of those 2 guys being back as leaders there at that safety position. And with Travaris Robinson being in here as the defensive backs coach, coming from Miami, this secondary should be one of the best groups here, Mark, in college football. But the corner spot opposite Eli Ricks will be one to watch. Will Kool-Aid McKinstry take it? Will Kyrie Jackson take it? Will Terrion Arnold step up here and take it? It's going to be an interesting kind of a 3-man race here, that spot opposite Eli Ricks.
Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, breaking things down for us as the Tide gets set to open spring practice in Tuscaloosa. You can join Stephen every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube at 6 Central. In my own words, just look it up there in the search bar. And, of course, the coverage day-to-day at touchdownalabama.com. Stephen, when you look at the specialist, Will Reichard And the place kicking has been stabilized in recent years after a few years in which it was notoriously not up to speed. But Reichard hit on 20 of 28 last year. I got to say that James Burnham at just about 39 yards per punt doesn't, at least on the surface, look like he's getting the job done there. But what's your assessment on Burnham and Reichard?
Well, first and foremost, Reichard, of course, fans are thrilled for him and proud to have him in the program. You look at 2020, perfect season this past year, 22 of 28, but some of those he could have made. You had botched snaps and you had the holds that were not clean. And when you look at place kicking, the snap's got to be right, the hold's got to be right for the kick to be right. And a lot of those times, Reichard had to deal with, either botched snaps or the hold was not clean, and that led to the kick not going the way Reichard would have liked for it to, but has been one of the more stable kickers in the Nick Saban era at Alabama, so fans have been happy with him. James Burnham, maybe not the boomer that a J.K. Scott was from the punting perspective, but at the same time, I feel like Nick Saban puts more emphasis on, can you just squeeze the returner? Can you keep the returner from getting a strong run back on you? Whether that's squeezing him to a fair catch or allowing your return team to get down there and cover the kick. The basis is, can you squeeze the returner? Can you prevent the returner from getting positive yards on your punts? And more times than not, Burnham did a solid job of that, where he either forced a lot of fair catches or he hung the ball up there enough for Jameson Williams, Kool-Aid McKinstry guys to get down the field and cover that ball, not allowing whomever's returning the ball for the opposition to get those major yardage and create that positive field position. So I feel like Saban holds that more so in high esteem than just having a guy that can hit the ball 70 yards in the midnight sky. Now, he appreciates somebody that can hit the ball 70 yards in the sky, but if you can just control where the returner wants to go and not allow that guy to get major yardage, that's what Saban holds more so in high regard. And I thought Burnham did a pretty solid job of that this past season. So you get both of those two guys back. Now, the area that Saban wants to see would be in the return aspect. With Slade Bolden gone, Bama has had guys in the past like Jaylen Waddle, return guys like Tyrone Prothro in the past, Freddie Millins in the past, that when they touch that ball, they're going off to the house. They're breaking those returns back for touchdowns. Even Devontae Smith, though he was most of the big-time receiver in 2020, he took a punt back for a touchdown. So that's what the fans want to see. That's what Coach Saban wants to see as well, who can create that electricity in the return game. And JoJo Earle is back, and he can do that. It's just for him judging where that ball is, judging the bounce of that ball, whether that trying to keep the ball from going over your head, trying to not lose the field position. So JoJo Earle is a guy that'll be in that spot. But in terms of other guys, Saban's going to have to find those guys, whether it's a freshman receiver that can do it, whether it's a defensive back that can do it. It's going to be a fun discovery of, behind Earle in the kick return game and the punt return game, who is the guy that Saban can trust to not only have the sure hands and judging the bounce of that ball well, but that can also be electric in having you hold your breath. Is this the guy that can take it to the house, so to speak? Because Jameson Williams can take it to the house from a kick return aspect, and you've had guys, like I mentioned in the past, on punt returns that can do that. So Saban got to find that type of guy on special teams.
Stephen, Freddie Millins, you're taking us back to my heyday when I was on the sideline covering Alabama football.
I mean, Mark, Bama's had that guy to where you hold your breath and go, is this the punt that's going 99 yards? Hey, he's gone for a touchdown. So that the fans love that type of stuff. They love, okay, can this guy be a game breaker on that side of the football? And Freddie Millins did it. David Palmer was a guy that did it. Tyrone Prothro was a guy that did it. And then you look at, in the Saban era, Jaylen Waddle did it. Eddie Jackson, though he was a defensive back, he did that thing. So who can Nick Saban find now? You put him back there. He's not only a good judge of where that ball is going to be in relation to where he is on the field, but can also break that ball back for the end zone.
Steven's here breaking down the Tide on a regular basis. We always appreciate his work talking Alabama football. You can catch his show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube. In my own words, at 6 Central. Give Steven a call. Steven, to get back to the defense briefly, Pete Golding coming into his 4th season as defensive coordinator. I see a lot of things on social media in regards to the fans' lack of contentment, satisfaction about the performance of the defense. What would be your assessment and basically Golding's approach to defensive football?
I'll say this. I think he's actually improved each season. Of course, Alabama fans, when you have Kirby Smart for so long, and when you had Jeremy Pruitt for so long, and you saw what both of those two did, of course, they want to see, shutting everybody down. Don't have nobody score. Don't have nobody move the football. But we're in a different age in college football where it all suits the offense. It all fits the offense. You can't hit the way you want to hit anymore, or you're going to get called for targeting. You can't play the way you want to play anymore. All the rules and regs and things of that nature, it suits the offense for the offenses to be successful. And when you look at Coach Golding, he's been in here going on his 5th year, because he came in 2018 as a co-DC with Taj Lapoy. But 2019, Pete Golding's first year as the primary defensive coordinator, people forget Alabama had a lot of hope in Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan being the 2 starters. They both got hurt. You lose both of your projected starting linebackers in fall camp. So Pete Golding goes from knowing who he has to coaching 2 freshmen. You have to take 2 young men and Christian Harris and Shane Lee and train them for a role that you thought Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan was going to have. That's a whole different perspective for Pete Golding to do. And even with that, Alabama still would have had a chance to get to the national championship if not for, of course, an injury to Tua Tagovailoa against Mississippi State, him hurting his hip in that game. So people kind of forget what Pete had to sort of endure first getting into the door here. And then 2020, Dylan Moses wasn't the same coming back from that knee injury, but, Golding was able to navigate through that, and you get to the national championship and you win as an undefeated national champion. I mean, of course, last season, Pete, after the Texas A&M game, this defense was playing with its hair on fire, playing well against LSU, had good moments there in the Iron Bowl against Auburn, played really well against Cincinnati. The halftime score against Georgia in the national championship game was, 9-6? So, I mean, Coach Golding, for the most part, I get it. He's not Kirby Smart. He's not Jeremy Pruitt, but at the same time, he's not god-awful. He has made strides each and every year. Now, of course, where I want to see him take that jump is developing more blitz packages into his schemes. He likes that inside linebacker blitz where you blitz both guys into the A-gap, but can he get a little bit more of those packages where he's disguising them well and he's able to hit home with a lot of those blitz looks, those pressure packages. So that would be my area to see Coach Golding get better at and get more refined in. And that's possibly the reason why Coach Saban has brought in Todd Grantham as a defensive analyst, because if anybody knows how to hit home on a quarterback, it would be Todd Grantham during his time at Georgia as a DC, Florida as a coordinator, Mississippi State, and of course Louisville, where he had a heyday hitting quarterbacks, creating interceptions, and making non-offensive touchdowns. So I think Golding has made strides. I think Golding has made a ton of improvement from the first year he's been here. It's just when you are an Alabama fan and you've grown used to seeing Kirby Smart and Jeremy Pruitt in a different age of football, you want that still carry into this new age of ball. And it's hard when everything fits the offense.
Stephen, you mentioned the NFL draft, Bama with 11 players in Indianapolis, or the NFL scouting combine with Bama with 11 players in Indianapolis. Any particular storylines, narratives, anything you're looking for this week that intrigues you?
In regards to the combine, Mark, it would be wanting to see how Brian Robinson does in this combine. He had a really good week. He had a really good Senior Bowl. He was the top running back by the American team, according to Jim Nagy and the guys down there in Mobile, who do a tremendous job. But I want to see, how does Brian Robinson shake out here at this combine? Because he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he does so many things well. When you look at, he runs with physicality. He's got some wiggle. He's got some shiftiness. He's got some speed. He showed last year he can catch the ball out the backfield, being a versatile back. He can pass block really well. Can he finish within the top 5 of running backs in this combine and kind of put himself in that early second round, maybe even late first round category? Can he set himself up right there? I want to another guy that I want to look at here in this combine is for Darian Mathis, who will participate in this combine. Well, can Big Phil Mathis put himself where he's either, because I have Phil Mathis in early second round, but can he be a late first round guy? He had a pretty good week of the Senior Bowl as well, and he had a good season last year in the area of tackles for loss and sacks. So Phil Mathis, of course, Brian Robinson, and then Alabama's 2 cornerbacks in Josh Jobe and Jaylen Davis. How can they fare in this combine? Can they hold their own? Can they showcase the speed? Can they showcase the ability in those different drills there? So that will be what my eyes are on in the combine. Phil Mathis, Brian Robinson, Jaylen Davis, and Josh Jobe. Also Christian Harris as well. Christian Harris, Christopher Allen, how will they suit and fit here at Lucas Oil Stadium? Evan Neal, we've gotten word from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. He will not do any of the activities in the combine. He will be there just to take care of interviews and meet with teams and meet with scouts and meet with general managers and that type of thing. Evan Neal has the opportunity to be the #1 overall pick, which if that happens, what a big deal for Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide, having the #1 overall pick coming from this university. Also, I would keep my eyes on John Mechie and Jameson Williams. I don't think those two will run in the combine. I think they'll have their focus more so on the interview process and meeting with teams, meeting with owners, meeting with coaches. They will do that ordeal, but I will definitely look at Brian Robinson, Phil Mathis, Chris Allen, Christian Harris, and where those guys perform in terms of their respective positions.
We always enjoy the breakdown from Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. And one more time, his show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube. Give him a call. Talk some Tide and the SEC in my own words, 6 Central right here on YouTube. Stephen, it's always a good time. We appreciate it. And we know you got your work cut out for you this week, tracking that scouting combine.
Absolutely, Mark. But you know what's fun? It's an exciting time of year. And next month, man, well, in the month of April, we got the USFL to watch.
There you go.